Okay, here we are. This was actually really difficult to get off of the clay helmet, so I think demolding it every time is going to be a bit of a struggle. Specifically trying to get it over the crown region. I really wanted to try to keep this in one piece if possible, so it's just going to be a challenge. As you can see, the detail came out pretty well throughout. And you can see here, it actually started to go up into the grooves there, which is kind of impressive because that's up in here. So the mold actually went vertically up inside of it as I was like squeezing it into all the cracks. I'm gonna trim these little bits and pieces off here. You can see a couple of air pockets in some of these areas. Not too problematic. I'll be able to carve those bits and pieces out of there. And you can see it's taking a little bit of the clay up with it. As far as thickness goes, it is not terribly even. Biggest concern is the back bottom portion might be a 1/4 of an inch or so. Up in the front here, it's got to be a good 1/2 inch or so. That should be perfectly fine. But just the bottom region here, and I think I just wasn't focusing on that as much when I was applying the silicone. Just kind of probably thinking of, it's just the back. I don't need to reinforce it too much. But it's probably going to be a bit of a challenge when it comes time to pouring the onyx inside of it, making sure it lays flat within the mold. As far as the mold goes, I made it thinner as well than I intended to, and I ended up using 9. I used 8 originally on the 2 different pieces, and that was not enough. I don't know what I did wrong. In some places, it had actually peeled up. And I'm actually surprised I got it all up in one piece. I then took another roll and I've added additional fortifications, specifically along the sides here where you're going to be kind of pulling up, and right along the main area here, because it was kind of bending and flexing. It was making me really nervous it was going to break. Up in here along the main edge here, it was actually pretty good. I did add a little bit more right here. The back seems to be a little bit better shape. I don't know if it's just because it's a bigger, flatter piece. I was able to more evenly distribute them all, but I'm just going to let this piece cure a little bit longer for these new bandages I just put down about 5-10 minutes ago. And then I might try and assemble it all back together again and see how well it works. The clay actually has held up incredibly well. Looking at the detailing, it looks like there really wasn't too much damage to the clay itself as I brushed it on, the silicone on it. I don't think I'm going to do anything with this until I pour the resin and get a good piece out of it before I decide that, okay, I can go ahead and trash this. There's all sorts of little dents and scratches and damage to this as I degloved the silicone off of it. But what is that little guy doing in there? Yeah, that's gonna stay there. But all in all, I'm pretty happy that the clay seems to have held up for the most part. Lots of bits of plaster debris has gotten all over it. That's not too big of a deal. So there it is. It is quite heavy. I swear this thing is probably about, I don't know, 20 pounds or something like that. So I'm kind of nervous to handle it too much. All these little grooves I'm not too worried about, because you can always just come back with the Dremel and carve them back into the the resin if it doesn't come out too well. But there it is.